Yo, patrons, what's up? Regular Rambles, episode 9. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I finished that funny KH video. That's done. Another project in the bag. I've been enjoying Tears of the Kingdom as a treat, as a little reward for myself for doing a good job. I reclaimed both of my Burger Shop world records. Nobody fuck with me. And I'm working on a new fun little project. This time will definitely be shorter than the last two videos, so look forward to that. That's all I really got to report. Let's get into the first question. So our first question comes from Brandon, and Brandon asks, if you were given a Keyblade in real life that matched your personality and who you are, which Keyblade / keychain do you think you'd get? Not necessarily the one that you like the most or would want the most, but the one that fits who you are. That's interesting. Because definitely not Ultimate Weapon. I do have that, but I don't know if that really fits my personality. I don't know if I would describe myself as Ultimate. I'm gonna have to look at some Keyblades to get a good feel for this. Great question, Brandon. Let me see. Okay, I think I'm between two options here. I think Classic Tone would be pretty fitting for me. I have been known throughout my life as either, the class clown, the court jester, etc., etc. That one's a very goofy looking Keyblade. It's like very just wacky and unorthodox. So I think if we're going just purely for like vibes, I think Classic Tone would be pretty good for me. Something that doesn't take itself super seriously. I also think Winter's Proof would be a good pick for me. Winter's Proof is a Keyblade that is notoriously time-consuming to get. And when you get it, you're like, what does this even mean? Like, oh my god, I finally did, I got Winter's Proof. But if you show it to anybody who's not familiar with the Keyblade or the games, they'd be like, yes, so what? Like, but you don't understand, like, I really worked hard at this, and I put a lot of time and effort into getting it. And now look, I'm Winter's Proof. I'm an established Kingdom Hearts community figure. And they're like, yeah, so? Do you have any experience, like real life experience? And be like, no, Winter's Proof disables the ability to gain any life experience, so, So yeah, I think that's my answer, either Classic Tone or Winter's Proof. Thank you so much for the question, Brandon. That was a good one. Question 2 comes from Binion Tomato, who actually composed the lovely Oopsie Daisy Sonata that I've been using as my stream outro for the past few streams. I love it so much. I think it's just so pleasant. So thank you again, Binion, for that. Binion asked, hey Pat, I've been enjoying your series of older PS2 games such as Shrek 2, Pac-Man, and Sly Cooper. Will you continue to do content like this for the future? I know you didn't have a large outcome for your Pac-Man World 2 playthrough, so you stopped pretty early on. Is that a fear you might have for any other playthrough series? Yeah, it's a real shame about Pac-Man World 2. You're right, I think I only did the one episode, and I didn't get that far. I think I maybe got to the Bedoing Woods, and I don't even know if I made it to the second boss. It's tough with the side series, with the Saturday games, because, I tend to do something KH or KH related on the Tuesday, Thursday slot, and then the Saturday slot is like, well, I feel like people are less likely to watch a stream on Saturday just as a baseline. I feel like people usually have, weekend plans or something they're going to do, or it's just like, time zone-wise, not great for some people. So I think that coupled with putting a more obscure, or not obscure, but like less intertwined with the brand type of game on that day, it's kind of like a double whammy for maybe not getting as much traction or interest. It really depends on how secure I'm feeling, to be honest, as a content person. Sometimes I don't care how many people are there and watching, and sometimes I do. I definitely care a bit less now that I have the partnership and I don't have to worry about like bleeding viewers and not being able to get the partnership. But sometimes it does feel like, if this isn't really attractive to people as a stream game, then maybe I need to switch to something else. Even with that little purple check mark, you don't want to like keep people away for an extended amount of time because you're playing something that people aren't really interested in. But again, to some extent, it is okay for it to happen for a few streams or weeks because like I have the Patreon and that helps me do whatever I want to do creatively on either YouTube or Twitch. Like, to be honest, I would love to go back to Pac-Man World 2 someday or just restart it and give it another crack. But yeah, I think as long as the game is relatively popular or liked, I'll probably continue to do stuff like that in the Saturday slot. After we finish Sly 3, we are doing a Pokemon Emerald, a Nuzlocke for the Saturday slot, but then I think it's pretty much open season for whatever. Not open season for PS2. That game sucks. You go back to the episode where I ranked the licensed games. Fuck open season. But I could see doing, honestly, Ape Escape 3. I know not a ton of people really care or are crazy about Ape Escape. I know SKB likes Ape Escape. SKB is my Ape Escape guy. No, not a single person has asked me to play Ape Escape 3, but that is a PS2 game that I would play. I would also play Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. That's another game from my childhood that I think could be neat. Or maybe some other games that I haven't played or I'm not familiar with at all. I've only played a little bit of Katamari, but I would love to do a Katamari stream. I would play Ratchet and Clank. I would do Jak and Daxter. And if we're talking games of the PS2 era, but not PS2, I would also play a Pokemon Coliseum or XD. What other things would be fun? I'd love to go back and finish Pikmin 2 and then play Pikmin 3 in time for Pikmin fucking 4. I mean, if you're familiar with the ongoing, totally normal KH1 playthrough, there will be some older games that we're exploring during that block of time on the Tuesday and Thursday slot. So yeah, I would say I'll definitely be doing stuff like that in the future. Have no fears. That stuff ain't going anywhere. As long as you guys don't, you know? It's a two-way street. But thank you so much, Binion, for the question. This one comes from Hamburger Splash, who asked, have you ever considered writing a book on the Kingdom Hearts franchise? You've already written a book's worth of essay scripts about them. That is true. Despite the lighthearted tone of your videos, it also feels like you're thinking more deeply and thoughtfully about the series than many of your peers on YouTube. You said it, not me. It's not far-fetched or glib to call you one of the experts in your highly specialized field. Well, thanks so much, Hamburger Splash. Again, that's a real winner's proof right there. Well, that is very kind. That's very, very nice. Well, I've not considered writing a book about the franchise. That is an interesting thought, though. I would just, like, what would it be about? Like, I would probably want to, like, narrow the focus, down. Like, I need a thesis statement, you know? I need something to prove with that. It's tough, because I would really want to put a lot of work and time into that, and then, you know, are people going to buy that? Like, or would that be something that anyone would be really interested in? Maybe once I'm all old and crusty, when I'm like 29, I'll wrap up the YouTube game, and after nobody wants me anymore, and I'll just start writing about the games for print media, you know, try to get a publisher to pick it up. I mean, again, as nice as that is, Splash, I really don't see myself as somebody who is tackling these games from a very deep or thoughtful, maybe thoughtful, but I don't know if it's necessarily a deep place. I think my job is not so much to, like, come up with new interpretations of the media, but to kind of put words to the feelings that we have. I think I'm much more feeling oriented in my writing than, like, purely a cerebral. It could be imposter syndrome. I don't really feel like I am thinking about the games as deeply as I could, at least from, like, a literary sort of analysis perspective. I think there were a lot of intentional choices in the game, or even just interpretations that I either miss or just don't consider because I've failed to kind of approach the character work or the plot lines from like a fresh perspective. At a point, it all gets so ingrained in you that you miss, like, totally obvious things. Like, I find sometimes that I have to, like, pull back and ask myself, like, wait, how does XYZ work? Like, how does, you know, why does this person have a Keyblade? How did they get it? Or like, just missing a totally obvious metaphor or interpretation in a scene between two characters. Like, I think I always look up to, like, PJ and Otto when it comes to their minds for the game, because I think they are thinking about it in a bit more of a literary analysis type of angle. I would love to read a book written by one or both of them. But, you know, to give myself some credit, because God knows I need it, while I might not be the best at, like, coming up with new ideas or interpretations about the series, I do think I do a fairly good job at, like I said, putting the feelings, the sort of nostalgia that we had as kids, and kind of justifying or elevating that to something that is a bit more substantial and enjoyable now that we're, most of us, adults. Like, I have no doubt that I am, you know, an above average writer, at least I fucking better be after, you know, 12 plus years of private education. Closer to 20 when you factor college in. Although high school was more useful than college, I gotta say. And I think I've always just been allergic to academia, to be honest. Like, I flourished in it, I thrived in it, but I always disliked all the people who took it so seriously and were really by the books. Like, I was in this creative writing minor in college, but I really didn't get along with other people in the minor. Like, I was friends with people in my major, the mass comm major, but, like, I think the people in the creative writing minor did not respect my work, although the professors did, because I refused to take it seriously and I did not write typical pieces. And these people also occasionally wrote some good stuff, and I'm not saying it was bad because it was, you know, more normal, but I don't think that was a two-way street in terms of respect. I say all that because, like, when it gets to the idea of, like, writing a book, I feel like I'm turned off from that. Like, I don't like doing things the conventional way, I guess. If I could, like, find a way to make it fun and make it my own, and again, the timing would have to be right. I would have to be financially stable to the point where I could, you know, put time and effort into a book in the way that I would put that into a video, and to, you know, be okay with however it does, you know, sales-wise. Or, fuck, like, I don't even have to make money. Like, if I'm fine and I can just write the book and not worry about getting paid for it, then I could do that too. In a perfect world where I'm, like, totally well off. This one was probably the most rambly one yet. Thank you so much, Splash, for both the sentiment and the question. That's something I hadn't considered, but, you know, maybe someday. The book is not closed on the book. Thank you. This one's a bit of an older one from Blue Jew, and Blue Jew asks, what are your thoughts on a KH1 graphical remake in the modern engine? Do you think that the increased graphical fidelity would get rid of loading screens, and would that be a good or bad thing? What sort of pros or cons would you see with this facelift? Yeah, I mean, if you're going to give me KH1 and it's going to look like KH3 but play like KH1, I mean, I think it would be a bit funky to get used to at first, but I would totally be down to do it. As much as I love KH1, I hope that that's not anywhere near where Square Enix's or Nomura's priorities are. Like, in fairness, you would hope that Recoded or Days would get, like, a proper modern interpretation before KH1 would, because you can already experience one, you know, on the remix collections. The loading screen, I mean, the loading screens are already basically non-existent. If you're playing on PS5 on the 1.5, 2.5 remix, like, you can, you know, the speed at which, like, I don't know if people really remember or can appreciate, like, how long it would take to, like, let's say you're in Atlantica and you get in a gummy ship and you're trying to go to Olympus Coliseum just by warping. Like, that's gonna take, like, a minute. And now it's just, like, bing, bang, boom. So I wonder if the graphical qualities would actually make the loading screens longer, because it's, like, more stuff that the game has to load in. I don't know. God, imagine, like, the gummy ship segments getting a facelift, like, a graphical overhaul in KH1. It's so basic and, like, polygonal. It's kind of weird to think about how that would look. I've never been, like, much of a graphics snob, so I know that some people probably are really, you know, clutching their pearls over the idea of, like, you know, destroying the sanctity of how KH1 originally looked. I'm already used to that. Like, you know, I played the PS2 version growing up. It was all fuzzy and you know, hard to see in certain scenes on the PS2. And now you can play it crisp and clean, and with the final mix recolors on PS5. So it's like, you know, I don't enjoy the game any less. If anything, I probably enjoy it more. I think at a point it's just like, this looks objectively better, and any nostalgia that people are clinging to is just rooted in, like, oh, I preferred the original enemy colors, or I just have, like, this warm fuzzy feeling when I see their gross little not fully rendered faces flapping around. But yeah, graphical remake only, because I would be a snob about if they changed anything gameplay wise. Like, imagine flow motion in KH1 and how deeply that would ruin the experience. Imagine switching the lock-on from its most perfect iteration to any of the fucking ship-brained ones that they come up with in the sequels. Not for me. Keep it the way it is. But graphic wise, yeah, give it an upgrade. I don't care. Thank you, Blue Jew, for the question. Our final question comes from a recent top-tier patron, Azuriyoshi, who asks, so if it'll be a while till we get videos that aren't KH related, no complaints here because KH is great, could we at least get a partner or chapter ranking for 1,000-Year Door if it's not too much? Oh yeah, we can. Let's do that. All right, I'm gonna do chapters because I think that'll be more interesting. I can also just talk about the partners that you get in each chapter. For the record, I know we just did a tier list, but I cannot resist to do a Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door one. That is one of my favorite games of all time, and my favorite Paper Mario game. I think it was my first turn-based game that wasn't a Pokemon game, which I feel like is many people's first. God, I rented it from Blockbuster, I think, in like 2005 or 6. That was the first time I played it, and then I just loved it so much I went and got a copy. Whoever made the tier maker has a trash tier. I don't know if I would call any of the chapters trash. If we have to put one there, I think I could figure out one to put, but we'll just go chronological. Well, I guess if we're not including the prologue, I mean, I love showing up in Rogueport and just seeing how different this game is going to be. The obvious example that everyone points to is like the fucking gallows sitting in the middle of the town in a Mario game, but it really does like set the tone. Like, this is just like this fucking gritty, gross-ass town with a bunch of street rats running around, nabbing your coins. You get Goombella there. Goombella is an excellent first-party member. She is consistently funny throughout the game with her tattles and her quips when you have her out during certain dialogue events, so she would rank pretty highly for me. But when considering chapters, we're starting with Chapter 1, which is the Petalburg Hooktail Castle one. I really like this. I think this is a really solid opening to the game. Nothing is like too difficult, but it also doesn't hold your hand. You get to use the paper ability in a pretty creative way throughout the castle. I also just love Petalburg and the Petal Meadows. I think they're gorgeous, and they were just so... I just felt like I was starting off on a fucking adventure when I went down the pipe and came up and I saw the chapter start screen, and it was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm on a new Mario adventure. It's fucking rad. You got the whole Schwank Fortress mini boss area at the start of the chapter. I love the fact that if you like explore, you find out that there's this badge you can wear that makes Hooktail queasy when you attack her. Such a cool reward for exploring. Like, is it the most flashy and funniest and most fun to play chapter? I don't think so, but like, I think it just sets a really good precedent and is just really solid gameplay wise. Honestly, I'm gonna put it in A tier. I just think it's a really solid opening to the game. Now, Boggly Woods, I've never been a big Boggly Woods guy. I think it's just like the aesthetic. I'm not in love with the great tree, the black and white sort of monochrome color situation going on in the woods. Oh, I forgot to mention, Koops is a fun enough party member. I mean, he's really just like a coward little boy who wants to save his dad, which I do think that's a sweet little story for that chapter. But Koops I'd probably put beneath the Goombella in terms of the party member ranking. And then Flurry would be beneath Koops because like, what is going on? I don't... What is Flurry? Like, I don't know. Does she have a species name? She's a titty ghost? Like, what is going on with Flurry? I don't like having to fetch the necklace and run around in the woods and have to get my fucking... my toes bit by the pale piranhas. I don't like that. You fight the Shadow Sirens. That's cute. That's fun. But then, like, even the boss for this level is underwhelming. It's just Lord Crump in a robot. I never liked Magnus von Grapple that much. The Punies, it's a novel concept. It's really just Pikmin put into Paper Mario, but with less, you know, control over them, if you could believe it, because Pikmin 1, like, your Pikmin would just fucking lounge around and trip and get lost, and the Punies take that up to fucking 11. Having to, like, navigate through the tree and use Flurry to blow them into the bubbles and get them to step in the right thing. Like, it just... I think it's more trouble than it's worth, to be honest. Like, it's very ambitious. I enjoy... the idea of what they're going for, but in execution, it's always felt like kind of a slog. Like, this is the chapter that I least look forward to. Like, honestly, I'm not going to put anything in trash, I don't think you can call this trash, but I think I will put it in D tier if we happen to have anything in the letter grade slots. I do think it's really funny that the in-game guide or tutorial says Flurry will use her body slam to crush her opponents with her ... stage presence. I think that's really funny. I'm about to be the most basic bitch ever, but the Glitz Pit is S tier, and that's the easiest choice I've ever made on any of these tier lists on these episodes. I fucking love the Glitz Pit. I love the aesthetic. I love, like, the hip and happening, like, fight club... I don't even know what you call this sort of vibe, but I love it. The glitz of it all, you know? The glitz and the glamour. God, I just... Oh, fuck. You get the Yoshi here, and that just boosts your travel speed. And that's so useful. I love all the friends you make in the minor league with King K and Bandy Andy, Master fucking Crash, and the mystery element. Like, what's happening to the fighters, and like what's going on with Grubba and Jolene and the mysterious girl at the juice bar, and Prince Mush. Where's Prince Mush? And when you find fucking King K and Bandy Andy crushed underneath the block in the attic. That scared the shit out of me as a kid. Oh my god. And I love climbing through the ranks. I love the challenges that are imposed on you for each battle. Like, yeah, gameplay-wise, it is a bit repetitive, but I think it's all justified with the setting, with the idea of rising through the ranks and becoming progressively more respected and slowly uncovering the mystery of the Glitz Pit. It's so perfect. That is always the highlight. Like, every time I'm going through Boggly Woods, I just think, well, the Glitz Pit is right after this. My first Yoshi, for the record, was a green Yoshi named Spike after my grandma's dog, who was a very good boy. And of course, Rock Hawk, which sounds like Raw Cock if you don't say it with the right spacing in between your words. So yeah, I gotta fight Rock Hawk. Just legendary shit. The worst part about Glitz Pit is how long it takes to get there and back to Rogueport. Like the blimp having to go through the little station and do the little cutscene. I think you can skip it, but it's still like you gotta watch some parts of it. So I wish it wasn't so isolated from the world, but the fact that it is like this like tourist destination floating up in the sky is just a really cool aesthetic choice. Alright, Twilight Town, the OG Twilight Town, because this came out in 2004 and KH2 was 2005 in Japan, so this was the first Twilight Town, and it is definitely not as good as the KH2 Twilight Town, but I think, like, it's so tough, because this is, like, an egregious amount of backtracking, and the game knows it, but it's just not, it's not funny enough to justify it, you know what I mean? Like, if Like, the game is in on the joke, but the joke isn't that funny, you know? Like, it's making you run back and forth between Twilight Town and Creepy Steeple, I think, like, 4 times total. Because you start Twilight Town, you gotta, you know, work your way out of the gate by, like, convincing the villagers or the mayor, or no, the mayor gets turned into a pig, that's how you finally escape. And then you make it all the way to the steeple, and then I think it looks like you beat the chapter. I do love the chapter fake out, because I know everyone who's played this game will just sit there thinking, like, this is a cutscene, or, like, what's going on? And then you realize that Dupless has taken your identity, which is a really cool twist. And then you gotta run back to Twilight Town, figure out what's going on, get Vivian, which Vivian is a great party member. I probably have her second after Goombella. I love her ability. I love her defecting from the Shadow Sirens. And then you gotta go back and figure out, like, the name thing with the Dupless and the P, and then you gotta go back to Twilight Town and fight him, and then go back to the steeple to fight him for real. So, like, it's too much, and the environment does not justify that sort of continuous traversing through it. Like, it's not that interesting. It really is just like a spooky forest place. Like, I love the vibe of the town, I love the music, and like the sort of dark energy that's coursing through this chapter. Like, I don't dread this as much as I dread Boggly Woods, so I guess I'm gonna put it in C tier, which seems pretty high for Twilight Town, to be honest, but I think Keelhaul Key is like your baseline standard Thousand Year Door chapter. I like the pre-chapter stuff with Bobbery and the story with his wife. Like, it's a really genuinely sweet thing. With the letter and Podley and all of that, and having to sneak into his house through the chimney. I'd probably put him, like, 3rd from the top. I guess Yoshi would be my favorite, actually, overall. I mean, I love the Yoshi kid. I love his attitude. I love how he calls you Gonzalez through the entire game. And the fact that he just makes, you know, moving around much quicker. But yeah, I think I'd go Yoshi, Goombella, Vivian, Bobbery, Koops. I don't dislike Koops, for the record. And I guess we're not going to have an opportunity to talk about Miss Mouse because she is optional and not, like, assigned to a specific chapter. But I honestly would probably put her at the bottom. Like, her whole thing is just she shows up, she kisses Mario, and everyone's like, what the fuck was that? And then she leaves. I do like the little quest that you have to do to get her, but, like, what's her motivation besides theft, you know? But yeah, Keelhaul Key, I love the idea of having to, like, cobble together this group and get Flavio and Four Eyes, aka Lord Crump, and all of the crewmates, Pop Hatch, to go to this treasure island sort of location. Like, again, visually, it's not that distinct from any sort of run-of-the-mill jungle level in a video game, but I do think the level shines in the Pirate's Grotto. I love Cortez as both the boss fight and as, like, a character. He's just like, yeah, if you wanted the treasure, you just had to ask. Like, I have all of this shit here. There's, like, the Crystal Star is nothing to me, so I don't know why we had to fight over it, but here you go. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about Keelhaul Key. I don't think it's aggressively good or bad. I think Flavio is one of the funniest characters in the game. I love when he says Flavio hates you all. Excess Express is also so cool. Like, it's very unorthodox. Like, it's a very combat light chapter. You do get the sort of pit stop, or I guess the train needs to, what's the deal with the train? It's like, it's stuck here. Like, I think that you have to, like, fix the little gate thing by going into the Sunset Station or whatever it's called. Sunset Station is in Cage 2. What is the name of this thing? I don't remember what it's called, but I love, again, the mystery elements of Excess Express. It's definitely played even straighter than it is in Glitzville. I love Pennington. I love how he doesn't know Mario's name. God, it's so creepy when you get the Ghost Toad's diary and you can read it and he'll just come and kill you in the train storage area. The Smorg is, like, kind of a what the fuck, though. Like, Smorg? Okay. It's like the only villain that has no affiliation with, like, the Crystal Star or the X-Knots or anything. Sorry, Cross-Knots. X-Knots would be, like, tissues to the extreme, to quote Koops. Poshley Heights and the Sanctum are honestly whatever. I think the best part of the chapter is definitely the train station and just the train itself, and doing all the little mini quest things to figure out what's going on with, like, the missing soup pot, the Zip Toad of it all, where that's actually Dupless again. I just love the feeling of travel in video games and, like, going from place to place and time passing. You got rest in your little cabin. It's so cozy. God, I saw this fucking beautiful art of all the party members hanging out in one of the Excess Express cabins. I'm gonna put that up on screen if I can find it, because it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so cozy. I love it. And in the late game for T2ID, we have chapters 7 and 8. Honestly, not the high point of the game for me. I think I'd probably put both of these in B tier as well. Mario Shoots the Moon, I mean, the Far Outpost stuff, I do think the General White thing is generally funnier than the Twilight Town backtracing and all that. At least you get to like see more of the game a second time when you're going throughout the entire game trying to get General White. That's a funnier joke than whatever they're going for in Twilight Town. Far Outpost is fine. I like the idea of like a bunch of Russian bomb-oms using a cannon to shoot you to the moon. And the revelation that the X-Naut Fortress is on the moon is amazing. The fucking track in the fortress itself bangs. It's a pretty standard dungeon area though. Like it doesn't really stick out to me in many meaningful ways. I think the moon itself is fun to mess around with the gravity physics. But the fortress, like it's got some clever puzzles, and I like the whole thing with the potion. That's with Peach though? Do you actually do the potion as Mario? I don't know. I don't think so. Really cute Easter egg with the 8-bit characters when you fall through the vent into the changing room though. I love that. It's just such a charming game. Yeah, but a lot of the chapters, I feel like it's not like... I think I like the whole more than most of the parts. I do think I might be higher on TTYD than I should be. I did watch a video essay recently about the backtracing in Paper Mario TTYD and how kind of bad it is at times. And I don't think like level design is really this game's strongest suit. I think it's really carried by the characters and just like the visuals and the environment, like not how it's built but the way it looks, in the story obviously, and the gameplay is just super fun and satisfying. Anyway, sorry, the moon, yeah, like Magnus von Grapple 2.0 is another lame disappointing boss at the end, but I do love all of the drama with Peach and Tech. And then I would actually put the Palace of Shadow above the moon. I do think it's a lot more grandiose and mysterious. Solid puzzles at the end, a lot of boss fights. You get Gloomtail, you get Bowser and Cammy, Grotus, and then the twist with, you know, the Shadow Queen being like the actual final boss. I mean, what a brutal final boss. Like, that is an all-timer. The fact that she, like, straight up possesses Peach and she's, like, goth GF Peach for a bit, and then, God, the Shadow Queen herself is just so fucking gross and scary. God, I should play this on stream sometime. Fuck, I love Paper Mario. God. Like, this is one of the biggest nostalgia bomb games for me, TTYD. It's just so good. Well, there you have it. Yet another tier list in the books. Thank you so much, all of you, for the questions. I think I have like 18-ish questions left now, so I'm good for a few episodes, but don't be afraid to submit. I do have a spreadsheet that I'm using to keep track of who I have answered and the topics of each one so that we kind of space them out and get a variety. So if I've answered none of your questions, then I try to prioritize you, and then there are people who have answered one of their questions, and then people have answered 2 of them, so I prioritize the one answer people first. So don't worry, Gavaka, I will get to your several questions, which I do like all of them. I'm just trying to, you know, space out who gets time here. But again, thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day, and be safe, be kind, be curious, and I'll see you next time. Bye.